Hi everyone, welcome to today's demo. Today we're going to show you secure forms, how to create one, as well as how variables could be used in secure forms to give you the flexibility that you need. In order to create a secure form, what you want to do is log into the admin portal, click on Services, and click on the drop down where it says Secure Forms and then Secure Forms Manager. When you get to the Secure Forms Manager, you'll see a list of secure forms that you have already created. Here you will see the description, the project that's associated with the secure forms. To add a new form, click on the Add Form button. You can define which domain the secure form should be located in. Hit Continue, and go through the steps of actually filling out the secure form configuration. The name of the form, the project that this form is going to be associated with. Here you can see you can navigate to select a folder as well as the project itself. For the secure form, you'll have to log in with your admin user as well as the credentials associated with that admin user. The Access tab is great because you get to specify the language you want the secure form to be used or to be populated in. You can also enable REST and SOAP API as well as public access. The Web Users tab will allow you to select web users who will have access to this form. And then Components is where you'll do most of the building of the secure form itself. We have a lot of different components that you can add to your secure form, ranging from checkbox fields to radio buttons to text field. One thing to note is as you click into each component, you will have to configure on the right hand side. You can define the variable name, the way it looks with the width, and whether you want to mask the input or not. So we give you a lot of customization flexibility when it comes to building out your form. Now we're going to go to one of the forms that we've already created. It's called Submitted Information, and it's a really straightforward, simple form with 3 fields. What I want to show you is the variable. You can see with each of these fields there is a variable name associated with it. The last name has L name to it. The client dropdown has client associated with it. And the variables are going to be really important because you can actually use them in your projects to reference. You can see here that with this form itself, we associated it with the print submitted information project. So let's go to that project so you can see what it looks like. Again, really easy and simple use case. We are just doing a print statement, and what we're printing is the first name that is submitted by the end user when they submit the form. You can see how in this print statement I am adding all the variables that we saw on the form itself into the print field. Or you go to the secure forms itself and fill out the form data. You'll see that the variable that is associated with the form will kind of transfer over to that print field. So here we are going to the information collection form that we have created. You can see here is where it says information collection. When you click it, now for the end user, they just have to add in the information. I put in Jane Doe, and let's say Jane is working at Abalone. When Jane submits this form, you can see a confirmation that shows that the form has been submitted successfully. Now, if I were to go back to my reporting, my audit logs, and reference completed jobs, you can see that this form was actually executed around this time. If I go to the job itself, you can see that the print statement worked. The first name is Jane, last name is Doe, client's Avalon, and that's because it's taking in the values that the end user submitted, and that end value is associated with the variables that you saw on the secure form. So here I'm just going to go back to show you again all these fields is associated with the variable name, and we referenced that in the project. Now this was a very simple use case, but we can make make secure forms as robust as you'd like it to be. So here is a more robust form that has a lot more fields associated with it. You can see patient first name, last name, and what this form is doing is actually it's collecting customer patient data and doing a calculation on what they submit. One thing that I'd like to share is we have a couple of drop-down fields where the options from the drop-down field is actually tied to a database that we have set up. And what this field allows you to do is that you can make query statements against the database that you associated with this drop-down field. With the CPT code, same thing. It's tied to my Academy database iSeries resource, and I'm making a query statement. So if I were to go to my secure forms as an end user, you can see that I am populating some of this data. I am selecting from the primary doc ID which is tied to the database, as we mentioned earlier, and the CPT code, as you see here, is also tied to the database. So now for the end user, when they select the doctor, the date of visit, as well as the CPT code, what this form is doing is it's doing a calculation on the back end through the project. So I'm selecting several CPT codes as well as the minutes for the visit. Each minutes of the visit is corresponds to a multiple. And once we submit it, you can see a calculation on the back end has taken place. Complete visit charge on the 8th for 370 for a total of 8 units. If we go to the project itself, I tie this to the process CPT units component project. If you go to the project, you can see that this is much more components with this project. There are several variables that are included in here. There is logic built in for each loops. We're doing print statements as well. We're referencing the database that we have in our resources to be able to facilitate the calculations that the form requires. Here you can see we're sending additional variables that will be used within the project. And then the secure form response is what the end user sees once they submitted the form, and all the final values are being inserted into the total costs and the total units here based on the form itself and the project itself. And so that was pretty much it with secure form. We saw today a simple use case as well as more flexible, robust use case. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know.